in the this section, we're going to look at how the inner ear is responsible for equilibrium. There are two forces that maintain our equilibrium. One is called static and one is called dynamic. Static is all about the position of our head, and it involves the vestibule, the labyrinth in the inner ear. So I think it's important that we take you to some pictures. So first of all, remember that we have two parts. We have these three semicircular canals, and then we have the cochlear part here, and that's about the hearing on this side. Okay. And in these semicircular canals, there's an area right here called the vestibule. And there's two structures in there. One's called the uteral and one called the sacral. And there are sensory receptors embedded in there. So I think it'd be good if we went to a picture here. So let's look at this picture right here. Okay, so pardon me. No, this is the next. I want to go to the next picture. So this picture is going to show us where we're at here. Okay, so we're looking at this in here. It's called the vestibule right here. Okay, and we'll go back to this picture. There's hair cells in there. So we're in here, and we're bending our head forward. And you see, this is the inner piece. So imagine these like little stones, okay? And when we bend our head forward, they roll, and they roll across these receptors right here. And when they roll across those receptors, that sends a message to these little neurons, which in turn connect with the 8th cranial nerve. And that will tell us what we're doing with our head by bending it forward. So the semicircular canals, we're going to go to this picture again to review that. So you see the semicircular canals, and they're all at different angles to each other. Okay, they occupy a different plane. So they have fluid in them. And when we turn our head around, this little piece here is embedded here and in here and in here. And I think there's a better picture if I go backwards to this picture. I know I'm moving around a lot. Okay, so what they've done is they've taken one semicircular canal, and what we have is this structure in here. The fluid moves in and around it like this and causes it to swish. Okay, and it's called there's perilymph in there, and that's one of the fluids. We said there's two types of fluids. There's perilymph and endolymph, and when the ampulla in there, the ampulla, crystal ampulla is the space, and there's the apparatus that's in there. I'm not going to ask you to name that. I'm sure of it. If I do, let me know. There's little hairs, and those hairs extend in there, and that movement when we turn our head as if like a ballerina would be doing a pirouette is sending information about what's happening to the fluid in there. And that fluid then again excites this, which goes to the cranial nerve, which goes to the 8th cranial nerve and tells us about what we're doing with our head. So there's two things we're looking at: bending your head forward, and that's about the otoliths, okay, versus going around in a circle. And you know, we've all done that as a little person, or even a big person, maybe, I don't know, get yourself dizzy, and then you can't get yourself righted again because that fluid in there is just whipping around and doesn't know what to do. The cerebellum receives this information from the 8th cranial nerve, and that would be the vestibular portion. The cochlear portion is reserved for the hearing, sense of hearing, and the cerebellum tries to help you by stimulating the skeletal muscles to help you maintain balance and give constant position about your body parts to your brain. So they work together in that message, in that way. So differentiating between dynamic and static. So we're going to say, okay, what's the definition and where is it controlled? So dynamic maintains the balance when our head's being rotated, and that's in the semicircular canals and the crystal ampullaris. So we just summarized that nicely. That's the pirouette, the ballerina. The static equilibrium senses the position of your head relative to gravity. So when we bend our head forward, those little otoliths pull in there and they pull on the they're little calcium crystals and they pull on the hair. And the site of control is the macula densa here with those two structures.